Hello, hello. Welcome back to a new episode of the Good Gluten Free Grub podcast. My name is Lauren and I am your host. It's been a minute since I have had a solo episode. I have a lot to talk about. When I keep a running list on my phone of all the things that I want to talk about for the podcast, it's been a couple weeks since I've been able to, have some time with just me and you. It's you and me. We're together. We're gonna chat about celiac disease today, and I have a topic that I want to talk about, which I've talked about before on the podcast, which is symptoms related to celiac disease. And it was a great performing episode. People have a lot to learn about symptoms related to getting gluten or pre-celiac diagnosis. And so I wanted to touch on some unique and unusual and maybe some symptoms that you wouldn't maybe associate with celiac disease. And specifically dermatitis herpetiformis, which is what I have, unfortunately. And I want to talk about a recent gluten exposure that I had over Christmas, and I'm still dealing with symptoms from that, and it's mid-January. So before we jump into the meat of the episode, I want to do the podcast rundown. How do I choose? Because it's been weeks and all my guests have been able to talk about all the things that they're loving and the brands and their favorite food and their favorite Instagram, TikTok accounts. So I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to stick with one so I can maybe push out my other favorites for some following weeks where I have another solo episode, because I have more guest episodes coming up in February, which is so exciting. More people for you guys to learn from. So the podcast rundown today from me is, my favorite gluten-free bite from the week. If you follow me on Instagram, shameless plug, please go follow me on Instagram, because that is where 100% of the best content goes. And then, 50% of my content goes on TikTok. And then my TikTok is also a place where I talk about the books that I'm reading and silly things and trends and stuff. But I still talk about being gluten-free and being a type 1 diabetic on TikTok too. But Instagram is the place. Instagram is the place to be if you want to follow somebody who is posting about their celiac life and sharing restaurants, sharing tips, where I post about my events and just everything that you would want to know to stay in the know about gluten-free living and, everything that I'm up to. So Good Gluten-Free Grub, that's where it's at on Instagram. I posted a video. I collaborated with a restaurant this last week, and it is called Spud Tato's, and it's in the Jordan Commons in West Jordan, Utah. So if you're local to Utah and you're listening to this is your sign to go to that restaurant, because they are a fabulous celiac safe restaurant. It's not a 100% gluten-free restaurant, but they take such amazing precautions. They have a separate area in their line of food. They have dedicated fryers for only gluten-free items. They don't even fry gluten. So there's no risk of ever being cross-contamination, because they don't fry anything with gluten. You can get fried, you can get cheese fries, you can get, it's called Spud Tato's because it's a potato place. So if you love baked potatoes, if you love fries, if you love mashed potatoes, you can do customized loaded baked potatoes. You can do loaded fries. You can do loaded mash. And then the greatest thing that I feel like they do there, which their food is amazing, an incredible menu, but they have gluten-free desserts. They have cheesecake. They have chocolate cake. They have pumpkin cakes. They have amazing variety of cakes. But this, they make freaking scones, fry bread scones that are gluten-free with cinnamon and sugar and honey butter on top. When was the last time you had that? When was the last time you were able to eat something like that? Years. It had been years for me. I've been to this restaurant before, but it was maybe within the first 2 years of my diagnosis, which 2026 is my 10-year anniversary of getting diagnosed with celiac disease. So I have been reflecting a lot on how much I've changed and how much I've grown as somebody with celiac disease and what my life has looked like. And everyone's doing the 2016 trend. And I'm 2016 was the year I was diagnosed with celiac disease. And honestly, it sucked for a little bit, but it's honestly been only uphill from here. And my life has just gotten so much better since I've been able to get my autoimmune conditions under control. So my favorite bite from the week was that honey butter scone fry bread from Spud Tato's. please go there. Please go support a local business here in Utah. The owner was just like, we had so many customers coming in and asking what was gluten-free, what wasn't, and we saw the need to make celiac safe things. They even have a sign in their restaurant that says, this is celiac safe and it's incredible. And I'm like, I am sold. I am there. That is like that signage. That's all I need. If you get it, you understand celiac disease, I'm there. I'm a faithful returning customer and I will be back. So head to Spudtatos, try everything, literally. Get a baked potato, get some chocolate cake, get us sweet bread, the sweet fry bread. You can go to my Instagram and see the video because I posted some videos of what the fry bread looks like. Anyway, so delicious. That was my favorite bite from the week. My favorite Instagram account from the week is an account called Whole Food for Seven. Yes, Whole Food for Seven. Her name is Autumn, and she is a like whole 30 account. So if you're looking for like gluten-free, dairy-free, paleo, you're wanting clean eating, she has a website you can subscribe. She has an amazing like hundreds and hundreds of recipes. She's like one of those types of content creators where you go to her website and you find, I think she probably even has like you sign up for getting her budget friendly meals and her meal plan, but it's great because all of her recipes are gluten-free, dairy-free, paleo. And she has a family of 7. So she's feeding a lot of mouths. So she has the option for on her website to, feed a bit large family. But she's a great recipe creator and everything that I've seen her post has looked fabulous and delicious. And she recently posted a video of these like homemade like wedge fries. And I don't know about you, but like wedge fries like that remind me of when you're like going on a road trip and you like have to stop at a gas station to get food, like, and you get the like in the like hot container, the hot what is it called, the hot bin, I don't know what it's called, but like where you would get like chicken wings, pizza, a hot dog, the wedge fries, whatever. Like her recipe looks like that, and she's like, it's like a dupe for gas station wedge fries, which, sometimes you just crave gas station food and you don't get to have that. That's something that you just don't get to have. Anyway, that's a recipe that she posted recently. And it was like comment fries for the recipe. And I was commenting and I wanted that. So go give Autumn a follow. Again, her Instagram account is called Whole Food for 7 with the number 7. I'll link it in the show notes for you guys to go ahead and give her a follow. And then I wanted to talk about my favorite brand from the week, which honestly, maybe I'm going to say 2. I feel like I have to say 2 because there's just been too many over the last couple of weeks I haven't been able to share. The first one is Dolicious. They are frozen ice cream balls covered in edible cookie dough in the freezer section of the grocery store. If you're watching on YouTube, it looks like this. And I tried them first at Expo West in 2024, and I was like blown away. They have one gluten-free and dairy-free flavor, but the other ones are just gluten-free and then dairy. So be aware, not all the flavors are gluten-free and dairy-free, but one of them is, and it's the chocolate chip one, which I honestly feel like is the best flavor. Again, the company is called Dolicious. I found them in my local Kroger grocery store. So if you have Kroger, you can even find them at like Whole Foods, Sprouts, places like that. It's a great company, a great business. The other one I wanted to talk about was Sweet Lawrence, which I've talked about Sweet Lawrence before. You guys know them. You love them. Their cookies are amazing. But I used their puff pastry dough recently. And their puff pastry dough I've used it for sweet things and I've used it for savory things. And this week I used it for both. I made a recipe of a chicken pot pie. I had a gluten-free pie shell and I filled it with like the insides of like a chicken pot pie. And then I topped it with the Sweet Lawrence puff pastry dough. I kind of made like the crisscross, like on a pie. Lattice is that, I think that's what you call it. And I baked it and the puff pastry was amazing. I put an egg wash on top and some herbs and salt and pepper on top, and it turned out really, really good. And then I had a little bit of dough left over, and so I filled the dough with chocolate and peanut butter, and then I like sealed it kind of like I sealed it like a Pop-Tart, and I just baked it in the oven and then sprinkled the top with powdered sugar when it came out, and it turned out so good. I'm still going to make a video about it so you guys can see it on Instagram, but I really liked it, and I just love knowing that there's brands out there that are making puff pastry dough, and they have a pizza dough as well. Sweet Loren's does as well. So I will put the link for Sweet Loren's if you want to follow them on Instagram, or you just want to shop from their website, or you want to see what stores carry the Sweet Loren's dough. I actually bought this Sweet Loren's dough from Sprouts, like back around Thanksgiving. I just hadn't used it for a long time. So it just sat in my freezer, which is nice. I love when you can buy things that can just sit in your freezer. Okay. One more thing before, we move on to the meat of the episode. For my Utah listeners, I am hosting a gluten-free winter market this Saturday. So the podcast is coming out today. It's Wednesday. And this Saturday on the 24th, I am hosting a market downtown Salt Lake City. I don't live in the Salt Lake County, so I don't do a lot of my events there. And I have had so many people be like, please do a market in Salt Lake because that's closer to me, or they live in more northern Utah. So this is it, you guys. I'm doing an event in Salt Lake County. I'm collaborating with the Church and State building and the people who own Hollow Grounds Coffee. They are inside the Church and State building. It's a gorgeous old church that's been renovated and has like shops inside, but it's a really big space for venues. And so we have 22 vendors. I would say half of them are food vendors and the other half are like local artists, makers, creators. There are some thrift shops. There's a tattoo parlor. There's going to be jewelry making, permanent jewelry, custom charms. There's going to be a hat. You can make your own custom design trucker hats. There's going to be, there's a bookshop in there. There's an ice cream shop inside, and they are, for the day, they're doing gluten-free cones. So, and then there's like a bunch of different like local gluten-free bakeries and shops that have signed up as well. So it is like a fun market for you to come and shop at, but every single food vendor is gluten-free. So it's not very often that you get to go to a market or like a farmer's market or something like that and actually get to eat something. And we're also having a dedicated gluten-free food truck as well called the Family Food Wagon. They are going to be outside of the venue and they're going to be serving food for lunch. So come hungry and come enjoy an amazing gluten-free market downtown Salt Lake City. All of the details are on my Instagram page, but I will also put a link in the show notes for you as well with the details about that. We would love to have you come and shop. It's free to come, so you don't have to pay anything. You can just come in, you can look around, you can shop around, you can buy some amazing baked goods, you can buy artesian bread, you can buy baguettes, you can buy macarons, you can get an acai bowl, you can yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can come and shop, bring your friends, and come and enjoy a nice Saturday supporting local businesses, both creators, makers, artists, and local gluten-free businesses. So there's my plug for that, for my Utah friends to come and check that out. Okay, the meat of this episode, like I said, is talking about symptoms related to celiac disease and then dermatitis herpetiformis. There are obviously lots of symptoms linked to celiac disease, like over 200. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly. And this is why it makes somebody getting a diagnosis so difficult, because a lot of times people will have weird, unusual symptoms and not link it to celiac disease. So it can take a long time for somebody to get a diagnosis. I just want to read some of the symptoms that you might not associate because they're not specifically GI related. But you know, when you think about it, like your gut is like so important in the function of all of your other systems. And so when your gut is in dysfunction, it's going to affect other systems, which a lot of people just don't know that. And that's not common education. So I want to raise awareness about how important it is to have a functioning gut microbiome and gut system, and the villi in your gut working properly, and you know, not having overgrowth of X, Y, or Z, and like being in what is the word? yeah, not dysfunction, being in your gut functioning properly. So some of the unusual symptoms that are linked to celiac disease is some issues with oral health. So some people will get mouth sores, they'll get canker sores, they'll get issues with their teeth, their enamel gets messed up. And so, let's say somebody is going to their dentist and they're like, I'm having a lot of issues with my teeth, I'm having mouth sores. I highly doubt that dentist is going to be like, you probably have celiac disease. So just know that oral health can be affected from dysfunction in your gut and from undiagnosed celiac disease. Or I know some people that if they do get glutened, they will get mouth sores in their mouth. And that's just something a symptom that they deal with. The other thing, which was a really common symptom of celiac disease or getting gluten from exposure of some sort, is issues with your brain. You're having brain fog, you're having anxiety, you're having depression, you're having chronic fatigue, you're just feeling exhausted. That can be from dysfunction in your gut. So if you've been glutened, or if you're experiencing that on a pretty regular basis, ask your doctor to test you for celiac disease. Honestly, like if you don't have celiac disease and you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're just wanting to learn more about celiac disease, brain health, skin health, oral health, joint, bone pain, issues with reproductive for women, like all of those things can be linked to celiac disease. So if you're experiencing unusual symptoms for an extended period of time and you're not even had the thought that maybe it's celiac disease, ask for the blood work to get tested for celiac disease. I feel like everybody should be tested for this if they have unusual symptoms. But brain issues is a really common symptom for people. If they get glutened or if they are yet diagnosed, they're having a lot of brain fog and they're having a lot of headaches. That was me. I was getting headaches daily. I was medicating for headaches every single day for years leading up to my diagnosis. And that caused so much dysfunction and disruption in my gut and my stomach lining. On top of being undiagnosed with celiac disease. So then there's the typical digestive issues. So celiac disease affects the lining of your small intestine and it damages the villi, which their job is to absorb nutrients. And if you are not absorbing nutrients, you will not function properly. It's going to affect your skin. It's going to affect your brain. It's going to affect your oral health. It's going to affect your bones, and you're not going to absorb calcium. And so you're going to have potential osteoporosis. Like there's just so many things that are going to go wrong in your life if you are not sticking to a gluten-free diet with celiac disease, or you've been undiagnosed and you need to get that diagnosis and you need to get it under control. The gut-related ones are obviously bloating, severe diarrhea, severe constipation, abdominal pain, unusual weight loss or weight gain. Your body's just screaming at you, telling you like, hey, something is wrong. Let's get some blood work done. Let's test for celiac disease. If you are not... I feel like I'm speaking to both categories of people. Somebody who's undiagnosed, who's looking for answers when it comes to mysterious symptoms that they're dealing with, but then also people who have celiac disease and maybe get glutened or are intentionally cheating on a regular basis. Like there are long-term side effects of not taking care of your celiac disease. Another issue is your skin. If you have dysfunction in your gut, if your villi are damaged and you're not absorbing your nutrients, it's going to affect your skin. It's going to affect your hair. It's going to affect your nails. All of those things are going to get affected. So a lot of people will get like an itchy rash, which is dermatitis herpetiformis, which is a common autoimmune condition that can develop with celiac disease. I fall under this category where I have DH. I've been diagnosed by a dermatologist, and I had a really interesting experience with my diagnosis. I was probably a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years into my celiac diagnosis and having so many skin issues because one, no doctor ever told me I needed to be concerned about cross-contamination, and I was eating food out of the same shared fryer. I was eating pizza cooked on the same flat top. I was eating oats that were not certified gluten-free oats for a long time and just having severe skin issues, which led me to a dermatologist, which led me to still not having the DH diagnosis yet, but I was coming in every 3 months to get a steroid injection in my hip because of how bad of the hives I was getting on my hands, on my lips, on my forearms, on my shins. And at that time, I was a practicing massage therapist, and it was killing me. It was killing me. My forearms were just raw and burning and itching all the time because I had such skin flare-ups. That's why I started going I started doing the steroid, because I was like, my job is to like lather myself in lotions and oils on my forearms, on my hands, and I can't function like as a massage therapist without some relief. So for probably 7 or 8 months, I was getting injections at my dermatologist until we figured it out that it was related to celiac disease, and that it wasn't until I realized the importance and like came to social media and found that there was so much importance behind cross contamination. So, that took me so long to get that under control. And now I know I don't take any steroids or anything for my dermatitis herpetiformis. But if I get glutened, that is my tall tale symptom. I will get hives on my hands. I will get brittle nails. All my nails will break off. I will have a hangnail on every single nail that will freaking bleed. I will have a rash on my lips. I will have a rash on my eyelids. And it lasts for weeks. And I got glutened over Christmas, and I'm still dealing with symptoms of that. All of my nails are like down to the nubs, which I normally have gorgeous long nails, and they are just breaking. My nails themselves are peeling in layers, and I just have hangnails, and my nail beds are like, I know that might seem like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal, and it's very frustrating to deal with itchy skin, itchy hives, itchy lips, burning eyelids, skin flaking off my eyelids. Okay. It's like, those are all associated with dysfunction in your small intestine. So skin related issues are very common. Another thing that people deal with is reproductive issues in females. Delayed puberty in young girls can be an issue. Miscarriage, if you are trying to get pregnant and you're not taking care of your celiac disease. Problems with early menopause. There are issues 100% with all of our systems that get messed up because either we're undiagnosed with celiac disease and we are dealing with all sorts of symptoms, or we're getting glutened on a regular basis, and we need to figure out where we're getting glutened, where the cross contamination is coming from. Is it happening in the home? Is it happening when we eat out at restaurants? Is it happening at work? You got to find where the source of getting glutened is, because they're like, if you're having frequent cross contamination and you're having frequent issues with safety and not being able to eat a strict gluten-free diet, you got to find the bottom of that, because there are going to be long-term effects of not taking care of that. I had posted on my Instagram talking about how I was, I had gotten glutened over Christmas, and I do have a steroid cream that can help. And honestly, I feel super blessed. I haven't had to use it in so long because it hasn't been so bad. Because honestly, like when I say I got glutened, like it's from cross contact, it's from cross contamination. It's not like full gluten consumption or I accidentally ate something that was gluten. It's typically just from, cross contact. And I feel like maybe because of the DH, and those of you who have DH probably can relate on this, but I feel like even like the smallest amount of cross-contamination is going to affect me. Within that evening, I'm having a rash on my hands and a rash on my lips. And then, I always get a headache if I get gluten. So there are so many symptoms that are linked to this autoimmune condition, and it's important to understand and know what the signs and symptoms are, especially if maybe you're an adult and you have kids and maybe they haven't been diagnosed with celiac disease yet. Who knows if they're going to get it or not? I hope that they never will. But just knowing what the signs and symptoms are, and just a plug too for knowing what the signs and symptoms are for type 1 diabetes, because they are sister autoimmune conditions, and knowing what to look for that. Very important. There are so many great resources for more education when it comes to celiac disease. And I would say the Celiac Disease, National Celiac Association, I'm going to pull up their Instagram account actually, because I want to make sure I have it. Okay, the National Celiac Association, they're on Instagram as National Celiac, and they're just an education platform, and they're website is like National Celiac Association, either .org or .com. I'll put it in the show notes, so don't worry. But so much education. Like if you just click on their website, it literally is just like this breakdown of like, okay, were you newly diagnosed? Click here. Are you looking for restaurants? Click here. Are you looking for recipes? If you want to talk to an expert, if you want information on eating gluten-free on a budget, a great resource. So National Celiac Association is a great resource. And then another great resource is the Celiac Space. The Celiac Space is owned by a registered dietitian who also has celiac disease, and her dietitians specialize in celiac disease. Some of them have celiac disease themselves, so they can just relate, and which is so great. It's because I know a lot of people that are like, I met with a dietitian and it was not helpful at all. But meeting with the dietitians at the Celiac Space dietitian group, they specialize in celiac disease, and they have an app. I would recommend downloading the app. It's a subscription-based app, but it is another incredible resource right at your fingertips for you to use. The whole process of adjusting and changing over your diet and your lifestyle is hard. And I'm not going to say it's going to be easy at first, because it's going to be challenging at first, but it won't be hard forever. And that's what I want you to take away from this. If you're listening to this episode and you were recently diagnosed, it's not going to be hard forever, just for a little bit. And then it's only uphill from here. It's going to get easier, and you're going to find resources, and you're going to follow me on Instagram, and you're going to follow all sorts of different accounts on Instagram and TikTok. And you're going to start using the Celiac Space app, and you're going to start researching, and you're going to start using ChatGPT, and you're going to start, downloading apps that are going to help you find restaurants. Like, it's really only like up from here because of how many great resources are available for people who have celiac disease. So I invite you to, follow along on the other social platforms that I have. And if you are new and you're struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am here for you. I offer one-on-one private consulting for anyone who is just like, I just need to talk to somebody and I need as much education as I can get. And I offer one-on-one calls like that for people who are newly diagnosed with celiac disease, or their child has been newly diagnosed with celiac disease, and it just is overwhelming. It 100% is. And I've been there. I know how hard it is, and I'm here to help. I'll put a link in the show notes for you to schedule a consultation. If you're wanting a 1-hour consultation, it's $110 for an hour consultation, but then I am your consultant for life. So you have access to me. You have my phone number. You can text me. You can call me. You can send me pictures of ingredients and say, hey, is this safe? And I will give you way more resources than just this free podcast. I can give you a lot more information and refer you to all the apps that I use and all of the things that I find to be extremely helpful that have benefited my gluten-free life. So thank you so much for listening. I am so grateful that you guys are all here, that you're listening. And I am, I'm new to the podcast scene on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. I hope that people watch on YouTube. I honestly was like, I'm just going to start posting on YouTube. So if you would prefer to watch the episode, it's me here in my bedroom with this pink backdrop that doesn't actually fit the whole screen. So, we're doing our best. But the podcast is available, Apple, Spotify, YouTube now, and you guys can go follow me on Instagram, TikTok at Good Gluten Free Grub. And if you're in Utah, come to the market this weekend. It's in downtown Salt Lake City. The information is pinned on my Instagram and my TikTok and my Facebook page. It'll all the information that we chatted about will be in the show notes. And I hope this episode helped you. That's my goal in everything that I do, is just to help improve your gluten-free life. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. I hope you have an awesome gluten-free week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.